listening to the Straight to Video podcast with Rob Lane.
2024, it's here, and a whole new start to the Straight to Video podcast. How you all been? If you're like me, then you struggle a little bit to get out of the starting gate after a break, but the show is back, and I've already found myself filling up the diary with new chats for this year, and today's episode is a great way to start. So on the first show of 2024, I speak with Tommy Henriksen, uber-talented multi-instrumentalist, but a lot of you will know him as one of the guitarists in the Alice Cooper Band, or as part of the Hollywood Vampires alongside his day job boss Alice, Johnny Depp and Joe Perry. If these two huge bands weren't enough, Tommy has a new project that he's spreading the word about called Crossbone Skully. It's not just a new band though, it also crosses into the world of comic books and animated movies, and it's the kind of project which has the look, sound and overall imagery and vision that you perhaps wish you could find as a kid just getting into hard rock. Not only that, Tommy has managed to persuade legendary producer Mutt Lange to come out of retirement to work on the songs, which, as you'll hear, was a dream come true for Tommy, who's been writing and producing songs for various artists for many years. So to have such a seal of approval from one of the greatest producers of all time was no small feat. This Straight to Video podcast is proudly presented to you in association with Affinity Photo, an incredible piece of photo editing software which I use all the time for my graphic design, and it's used to create the podcast episode art what you see each week with the cool video covers, and it's also extremely affordable compared to other programs on the market. So please, if you can, check them out at affinity.serif.com. Alright, let's get this new year underway, and if you want to learn more about Crossbone Skully after my chat with Tommy, and I urge you to do so as the whole project really is such an impressive piece of work, then head on over to crossboneskully.com and connect on all the social media channels. But right now, please enjoy my straight to video talk with Tommy Henriksen. How's it going, Tommy?
It's going good. How you doing? Happy New Year.
Yeah, you too. How was Christmas in Switzerland?
You know what? Cold, rainy, damp, and boring.
I said Christmas in Switzerland, not in the UK.
Well, the weather's almost kind of the same thing. It's unbelievable how bad the weather really is. It's like, I wish it would snow, but it's always raining, you know what I mean? So, and it's always damp and cold, and you know, you never want to go outside.
Oh, man. Just movies all day. Stay warm.
I stay in this room. That's what I do. I just work on music all day long. I got to tell you, Rob, it's like pretty funny. It's a good thing I got this room, you know? It's the gym. It's the studio. It's the spare bedroom. It's the office. It's whatever you want it to be.
It's the man cave, mate.
It's not even a man cave. I wish I could make it a man cave. It's like living in Switzerland, dude. It's like living in like a 10-pound bag, but like 100 pounds packed into the 10-pound bag.
I've been to Switzerland a couple of times. I think I played at a club called Rock City. I don't know if it's even there anymore.
I only know a couple clubs, believe it or not, around here. Most of the time, honestly, I never go out.
Well, you're always on tour most of the time.
Yeah, that too. But the cool thing about right now is like I get to play with Mark Storace and those guys, and we just did this other thing with this guy, Raleigh. He does this rock classic thing. That was really fun. That was good. I got out of the house this year for that.
I'll dive in. I'm going to bounce around quite a bit. And I know you like to bounce around quite a bit, but you've had a career which has had so many elements that could just be a podcast all of its own. But I want to talk all things Crossbone Skully because it's such a cool project. But we have a bunch of mutual friends, but I don't think we've ever actually met.
No.
I've known Roxy for some time.
I love Roxy.
He's been a big influence on my journey through music. But you two go way back, though, even before Alice Cooper Band, when you used to play with Ryan's old band, Dad's Porno Mag, out in LA with your band, Parade of Losers. That was mid-90s, right?
Yeah, that was like, shit, it was like 94. You got that exactly right. Yeah, we do shows with those guys all the time. It was a good time, man. It was a good time in LA to play.
It was a weird time for hard rock back then, but yeah. What were those gigs like?
They were always full.
Yeah.
Playing like the Dragonfly, Coconut Teaser, the Roxy, the Whiskey. Dragonfly was a good club that we would do. Like Ryan was doing his alternative thing, you know what I mean, which he still does. It was cool because we were punk over the top. Yeah, well, it was stupid. We were like the dumbest fucking band around, dude. It was like one of those things. I couldn't believe we got a record deal, but whatever. It was fun.
Well, anything went around that time. No one knew what they was doing. So it's like, where do we go from here?
Yeah, we were just doing stupid stuff. You know, I look back on that and I go, why? You know, it's like I never had anybody tell me, hey, listen, take it down a notch here, guy. Let's tone it down, you know?
How long was that band together, POL? Did you pronounce it POL or was it Paul or Parade of Losers?
POL, P period, O period, O. It was like PIL, but POL. It was funny because how we got the name, it was when OJ was driving down the 405 in his Bronco, and my roommate, guy Louis Marciano, one of my best friends, he said to me, he goes, look at these Parade of Losers. That's the name of the band. He looked at me, he's like, no, you're not. I was like, yeah, why not? So I did. I called it Parade of Losers. We were on tour. We did a bunch of shows. We had a #1 single at radio, a song called Stupid. My ex-girlfriend would always tell me, you're stupid. And I'd be like, I can't help it. So that was the song. I'm stupid and I can't help it.
Right, what you know.
Boy, did I.
Was that the first time that you and Ryan had connected? Or did you know each other from the East Coast at any point?
I believe so, yeah. But I was always aware of Roxy. You know what I mean? He was like a rock star.
Did you see like Electric Angels back in the day or anything?
I remember Electric Angels. I never saw them, but I remember those guys being around New York. You know, they always had a buzz and they looked cool. He always had that thing where it's like, oh, he's the cool guy.
They had Christina Applegate in a video as well, so bonus points.
That's cool, right?
Another guy, I'm not sure how well you know, the guy who made me want to pick up the bass guitar, Todd Jensen.
Oh, yeah.
Todd, he recorded with Warlock, who you played bass for, and I think he was the guy who got the David Lee Roth gig, which you auditioned for.
Yeah, he got it over me. Exactly. You know, he's a better bass player anyway, you know what I mean? So he deserved to get it, and his hair looked better, so... When you look back on that stuff, Rob, you know, he's like, you sit there, you do the gig, you go in there, you do it great. Dave's like, yeah, you know, and then you're like going, all right. You leave, you go, let's see what happens. It was Ozzy and David Lee Roth. And I was like, oh, this is cool. I had a great audition. That's all you could ask for. And then, you know, you leave and you go, okay, if they're not into me, then you find out they don't like your hair. It's like, all right, fuck it. I get it. I really understand it. At the time, you really don't. You go, I don't get it. But then you look back, you go, yeah, I get it. You know what I mean? Like if I'm going to pick people in my band, I sit back, I go, all right, they got to look a certain way. They got to play a certain way. First of all, they got to play great in Crossbone Skully. If you can't play great, I ain't playing with you. I'm not just going to hire someone because they look good. And then you got to hope that not only do they play great, they look great. And then if they look great, you go, can I hang out with this person for fucking 20 hours? There's a lot of stuff that goes into being a band, man. You know, it's like, all right, can I get along with this person? You know what I mean? Even though everyone's got different views and opinions on everything, but as long as you can get along with them and you have things in common musically, and with Crossbone Skully, that's why I wanted to hire a bunch of young people, because I was like, I want to make them a band. I want to make it a band. It's not a hired fucking gun situation. No, I want them to be part of something, you know, and that's what I'm trying to build. I'm trying to build something where these kids feel part of something, and they're going to, if anything ever happens with it, God willing, you know what I mean? They will have a piece of this.
Was Todd in Alice's band when you was tech with him in the late 90s?
Yes, he was.
Yeah? He's like, you stole my Roth gig.
No, I was, you know, I was a roadie and he was the bass player. It's just so funny how this shit works. Brett Beach was the guitar player. Taylor was the keyboard player. I just remember going in there making like $50. You know, my buddies, like this guy Kenny was one of the techs, and Ralph was the lighting guy. These are guys that I worked with in the clubs back in the day. You know, when I was in this band called Rough Cut in the Cut, we showed all these guys how to be roadies. And then just so happened years later, they knew I had no money. I needed a gig, and they called me up. It's like, Thomas, you want to come out and work for Alice Cooper? And I was like, all right. What are you going to pay me? I think it was like $50 a day or something. I was driving the van.
Was Ryan playing with him at that time as well?
Yeah, he was. I was picking him up. I was carrying his luggage.
Like son of a bitch.
No, but it was funny because at that time when I was doing that, I remember telling Roxy, I'm going, I'm going to be out of here anyway in a week. I'm getting a record deal like in a week. And sure enough, I got a record deal like a week or two later, and I was like a millionaire. It was pretty funny how you go from owing Wells Fargo $11, and then all of a sudden you got over $1 million in the bank. It's kind of fucking insane.
What does that do to your headspace?
Most people probably make them go fucking nuts and think they're all of a sudden special. With me, I was like going, all right, what do I do with this? And then Jeff Pilson said to me, he goes, buy a house. He's like, take the money and buy a house. And that's what I did. That was the fucking smartest thing I ever did. And then I gave a bunch of money away. You know what I mean? Bought people cars. I just did everything. The most stupidest things ever. But I was just helping people out, paying people's taxes, fucking loaning this guy 10 grand, 20 grand here, buying a fucking $50,000 car, another car for this guy. I didn't care. I still don't care. I do it all over again, man.
When you go for like the Roth audition and stuff like that, did you play any like Billy Sheehan songs in that? Because you're like a Ramones guy. Did you know that style?
Yep, I was able to get through it. I did Yankee Rose. I was actually practicing that shit a lot. Plus, when you put distortion on the bass and everything like that, you could get away with that stuff. Can I do it like Billy Sheehan? No. I've played with Billy Sheehan. I've watched him do it, and I sit back and go, but I could fool my way through it. It was good enough where I could get David Lee Roth out of his room. And then doing like Just a Gigolo. You know what that's like playing that song? Those walking bass lines are not the same bass part every time. It's changing all the time. It took me like a week to figure that song out.
Was Jason Becker still in the band at that point?
Yeah, he was sitting down the whole time, and I didn't know he was sick at the time. You know what I mean? That guy's an amazing guitar player, but that was one of those moments where I was like, why is this guy sitting down? And then all of a sudden, Greg Bissonette told me.
How does going for gigs like that, which ultimately don't work out, but do you always take something from them? Like, what have I learned?
Oh, absolutely.
Who have I met? Is there always something valuable to take away?
I learned from everyone, Rob. With stuff like that, you go in and you just got to go with the attitude is like, all right, I'm going to do the best job I can. I'm going to learn the songs exactly like the way they are on the record and live. The arrangements, you know what I mean? You got to know the arrangements, the live arrangements. Like with Ozzy, I knew the arrangements because we were on tour with Ozzy, with Warlock. So when we were doing Miracle Man, I knew all the endings, all of this stuff.
Yeah, no fade outs. You knew where that was going.
I knew the whole thing. Like, I don't know. Bob Daisley is one of my favorite bass players ever. Another guy never gets a lot of credit, but his bass playing and parts were fucking amazing. And I've never heard an Ozzy bass player to this day actually play it right.
Like, give Tommy a call.
No, it makes me angry. I sit back and go, dude, those are the best parts. You're not even playing it right. You know, we did a couple shows with Ozzy with the Vampires. I was sitting there watching the bass player going, wrong, wrong, wrong. I really wanted to pick up the bass and be like, let me show you how to play this fucking thing. But, you know, Bob Daisley's got to be sitting there laughing. He's like, no one plays this stuff right.
Oh, fantastic.
What I take from that stuff, I go in there. It's about relationships too. You know what I mean? Hanging out with these dudes. You know, you leave and you go, all right, what did I do wrong? And I said, I had the wrong hair. You know what I mean? So what did I do after that? I went out and I chopped all my hair off and I started a punk band. So that's what I learned.
Just puts you on this different trajectory. It's like, I've learned that. I go down this road.
Because I had the curly hair, the fucking Long Island hair. When you go out to LA, you know, it's a whole other scene, man. You know what I mean? It's like this whole glamorous look. Everyone's got perfect teeth, perfect skin, perfect hair, perfect everything. So you go out there, you got fucked up teeth, fucked up hair. You're from New York, and you're like going, no one talks like you.
Did you know anybody out on the West Coast when you went out there?
The only guy I knew out there at the time was Ray Gillen. I was staying with him because me and Ray were in a band back in the day with these guys, Bobby and Teddy Rondinelli. Yeah. You didn't notice too, Ryan mentioned this to me a couple weeks ago. He said, yeah, I was talking to Mike Tramp. He goes, he told me you auditioned for White Lion. He goes, how come you've ever mentioned that before? I was like, I forgot all about it.
Wow, when was that then? Was that like prior to Freak of Nature and stuff like that?
Dude, that's before they even got their record deal.
Holy shit.
Like 1984.
So even before James Lomenzo was on board?
Exactly, yeah. That was at Lemoore in Brooklyn. They'd rehearse in the basement because we played all the time in Lemoore. And we had a good following with our band. And they said to me, hey, we want you to come down and audition for the band. So I was like, all right. Because I always thought Mike had a cool voice. He was a rock star. And Vito was an amazing guitar player. And Greg D'Angelo was the drummer. It was incredible. I was always like, yeah, this would be a good band to check out.
Wow. So they were just after the last piece.
You know, you got to look at the stuff. But I didn't get that one either. But you know what? What can you do? You know, it's just like living, learning, and just keep on moving. Because I always say, man, keep moving or die.
Totally, man. And after all these years doing such great stuff from like your early days out in New York through to moving to California, record deals, solo albums, becoming part of Alice Cooper's band, Hollywood Vampires, so much of that experience must have combined into this new Crossbone Skully project. I could attempt to bottle into a description, but I think you'll be more primed to describe it better than me. Where would you start with a pitch to someone who is unaware as its parts music, animated film, comic book? What's your summary?
I think it's got everything that someone would want. Like in music, to have Mutt Lange be part of this thing is like, to me, that's the ultimate, not only dream, but validation for me as a guitar player, bass player, singer, songwriter, producer, mixer, whatever you want to call me. I mean, to have him, that to me is the biggest compliment that I could have ever got, because I just was like, you know what? I won already. Regardless if I sell a record or not, I got to work with Mutt Lange. Not many people could say that, you know? And I've learned so much from him and Ole. Like, I've come so far in writing songs and arranging just from being around those guys for the past 4 years. when I send Mutt a song and he takes it apart and he does his thing to it, I go in the session, I look at everything. I look at the EQs. I look at how they're doing everything. I look at the way he stacks his vocals. If you can't learn from that, I don't know what to tell you, because I dissect that stuff where I'm going, oh, does that. And then I'll send him another song and then I'll be like, okay, I think I know what he wants. And then I'll send it to him and I come back again, totally, I didn't know what the hell he wants, because he always is one step ahead, you know? The brilliant part of that is like just the process. You know, like he always says, he's like, it's the process. We never go backwards. We never listen to the demo. So we never go back. If we got like 70 versions of a song, we're not going back to like, well, version 20 was good. Never happened. Like he says, we keep moving forward. We never go backwards. And that's how you don't get demoitis or chase your fucking tail. Because one thing about me, Rob, I never get stuck on something. I don't get attached to shit because I know it's only going to change again. So I'm like, okay, where are we going with this? All right, he wants to change that. All right, I'll change that lyric over there. He cut out all the verse melodies. He wants less. He wants space. All right, cool. Now I got to rewrite that, fit that in over here. So it's totally a process which is always moving forward.
Is it quite a fast process? Does Mutt hear something immediately? Or is it just a process? It's like, we'll get there when we get there.
Dude, sometimes I got songs that's taken me like 2 years to write. When you tell people like, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, it takes a long time for me to write lyrics. You know what I mean? Because it's like when I'm writing lyrics, it's like I got to sit back and I go, all right, what am I saying here? How do I put this across? Because they're my words. You know what I mean? It's my story. And then it just takes a while because I keep on going over and going, no, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. Finally, when I send it back, he'll be like, okay, let's move on. That's when I know we're done.
How did the project evolve from just being, let's say, another music project into this whole expanded comic book, animated film? What was the trigger point for that?
Mark Wilkinson was the trigger point for that. This guy, Tommy Denanda, that I was working with, he hooked me up with Mark Wilkinson. We also hooked me up with Mutt Lange. Anyway, so when I started working with Mark and I was telling him like I wanted an alien, I wanted to have elements of stuff that I wear, elements of, you know, fucked up eye that I have and all these things, a headband and like a pirate and all these other things. And then Mark Wilkinson said something to me, which was great. And Mark is like, he's a great guy. He's kind of like Ross Halfin of album covers, you know what I mean? He's a hard guy to please. His taste is impeccable. And if he likes you or likes something, that's cool. So he said to me, he's like, Tommy, remember one thing. Iron Maiden makes more money on beer than they do on music. When he said that, that's when I went, hey, wait a minute. I said, I don't drink beer, Mark, but I do drink energy drinks and stuff. Maybe I'll make a Crossbone Skully energy drink. And then I wanted to make the jewelry, the necklaces. We'll make a comic book. And then I was like, we'll do all of this stuff where we do it at Comic-Con. We do all these other things. I've been talking about a comic book for years. And then Chuck and Beasto did a comic book. And then Chuck hooked me up with the guys at Source Point. And that's how we got that comic book together. And then I was like, I wanted to do an animated movie.
Did you think about the time involved in all this?
Dude, you kidding me? It's been years. I write everything down. I'm always writing shit down because my mind is always spinning. Like, how do we do this? Because I'm thinking, this day and age, Rob, it's like so hard to break a new band. There's so many bands out there. How do we make our band stand out from the rest? And how do we make it where we can get exposure? I'm not doing TikTok videos of stupid shit where people go, oh, he's funny. I'm too old for that shit. You know what I mean? So I figured let's just write great songs and try and come up with some great music and great content. And hopefully, you know, the cream could rise to the top and we could make something out of this. My expectations, I set them very low. Yeah, I'd like to do all of these things. I try to do it, but I never set myself up where I go, oh, we didn't do that and we failed. No, it's like, how do we keep on working around this? How do we move around this thing? You know what I mean? To get to where we need to go. So I never sit back and go, oh, poor me. Oh, we didn't get, yeah. So I was like, all right, how do we fucking make this work? What's the next play? That's what I'm thinking. I'm not sitting there going, all right, this didn't work. We're fucked. I'm like, all right, let's try something else. Let's go.
You're very proud of having Mutt Lange on board.
Absolutely. Proudest moment of my life.
I believe the first song he sent back to you was the single Boom Went the Boom, which features Phil Collin from Def Leppard on. One simple question. How loud did you listen to that first mix?
I had headphones on that I cranked the shit out over here. And I listened to it for, I don't know, it had to be 50, 60 times. And I was sitting there crying. I was like, oh my God, this is what it's supposed to sound like. This is the sound that I've been looking for and trying to get. And I've been like, just trying to be Mutt Lange my whole life, dude. Seriously, I go back, I listen to shit that I did 30 years ago. I was still trying to do Mutt Lange stuff. Everyone always gave me shit for it. Even when I was working with all the younger bands back in the day, in 2000, I'd turn all these kids on to Mutt Lange records, you know what I mean? That would always be the goal. How do you make it sound like Mutt Lange?
Hysteria was like my album. It was like, this is not what you should sound like, but you've got live, but then it's just out there. It's just next level. It's not a band anymore. It's just this thing. It's amazing.
There's so many hooks everywhere, I mean, when I'm doing this stuff, with Mutt, I'm doing it all myself and him. It's not like you got someone else to bounce any ideas off. You just got to figure it out. It's not like 10 people on a song. It's like 1 or 2, the way it should be. Unless you're in a room with people and they're contributing to writing a song. It's like now these days you go into like a songwriting thing. There's like 20 people and I'm like going, the fuck is this all about? That's why I don't write songs anymore, people. I don't want to do that. Think I want to sit in a room with like 7 other people and hear these stupid ideas? No. I'd rather write my own stuff. I don't care if anyone buys it or not, as long as I like it.
Well, you've actually got a credit on one of my favorite songs.
Which one?
What Happened to Your Band? The Busted song.
Oh, Busted, yeah. I've done a lot of stuff with Bourne, yep.
With James. How did you guys first hook up? He was like out in LA, and I remember the first time I heard that song was him just playing it acoustic at some LA venue, and that was the first time I heard that title and that song.
Yep, we wrote a lot of songs together, me and Bourne. We wrote 2 records together, this Future Boy record. We were writing songs for David Cook, doing a songwriting thing. And he showed up in this beat up car. I'll never forget this. Smelly, dirty. I was like, who's this fucking dirtbag? And we started working and I loved him right away. I was like, I like this kid. And then we started writing songs and we hung out. It was just one of those things where I always told him, you got to get Busted back together, dude. You need to get the band back together. And it was a whole other thing where he was trying to. And then finally, he called me up one day, Tommy, Busted, we're going to go. I was like, great. And then that was it. And the next thing I know, the kid's rich again. You know what I mean? It's like guys driving around in like a rent-a-wreck car in L.A. I'm taking his kid to the dentist and feeding him food. I mean, I helped that fucking guy out a lot. I loved him. I still love Bourne. You know what I mean? Now he's doing amazing again, But I'm still waiting for him to call me up to work on a Busted record. He hasn't called me yet. That I would do. You know what I mean? Because I love Charlie's voice and I love Matt.
So good.
I keep on telling Bourne, let me do a Busted record. What the fuck they're doing with all these other guys? I'm like, oh, come on, man. Stick to the formula.
It's out there now. It's out there. It's going to happen. Next album.
God damn it, man.
When you're in that songwriting situation, do you bond with people pretty fast?
I could tell as soon as someone walks in the room if they're a douchebag or not. Right away, oh, God, here we go. Fucking douchebag. I got to sit here now for fucking 2 hours. See, I can get along with anyone, but if someone just comes in thinking they're fucking like Mozart, that's when I'm like going, come on, when we're writing stupid songs, you get along with certain people you go, I ain't going to write with this fucking guy ever again, or chick, whoever it was. If you play the shit right, it's more about like, I don't know, sucking the devil's dick. I don't suck the devil's dick,
That's a t-shirt right there.
I ain't got time for that, man. I can't sell myself like that. I've never been a sellout just for money. I never got into music for money. I do music because I love it. And when you find the right people to work with, then all of a sudden you go, oh, this is cool. Where you can collaborate with someone, where it really works.
Speaking of like collaborations, I mean, you've assembled a lot of friends and colleagues to be part of Crossbone Skully. The animated film alone boasts a list of credits to rival a major motion picture. Alice is on there, Johnny Depp, Nikki Sixx. What would the punk rock kid from New York have said if you'd have given him a copy of the record with this list of credits on, or if he'd have seen it flicking through albums in his local record store? Would he be on board?
Absolutely, dude. He'd be like, I got to check this out. I mean, dude, I've been a Nikki Sixx fan since I was a kid, playing Motley Crue cover songs back in the clubs, playing Aerosmith songs. Joe Perry's been one of my heroes. Alice Cooper, the list goes on. Johnny Depp. So to get those guys to come in and do me a favor, because the whole idea is to get this animated thing into like a series where each week there'd be a different rock star, there'd be a different ally. Like Johnny's the guy, he's the evil source. He's the source of all evil. That's why I told JD, I was like, you gotta be evil. He's like, brother, I could be evil. I was like, I want evil. And it's really cool. When he sat there and did all the voices for me, that was one of those moments, dude, where I was like going, oh my God, I wish I was recording this on film. It was brilliant watching him come up with the whole sorcerer voice. It was cool, man.
Did he run a bunch of voices past you?
Oh, yeah. He was going through this whole thing. And, what do you think of that, brother? I was like, they all sound great to me. What do you think? And then all of a sudden he'd go into that thing, man. And then Joe was great. Joe was fucking awesome. JD, I had the script. He rewrote everything, which is cool. I said, do your thing, man. Joe, same thing. I sent it to Joe. Joe's like, I want to get real Boston on this one. I was like, you're the big bad bone crusher, dude. You're the muscle. So, and he was totally into it. And then Nikki Sixx was great. And then Alice was like, he was there the whole time with me, Coop, coming up with a lot of ideas, him and Johnny, for his characters. Coop especially. Me and him would be sitting down at breakfast and we'd talk about the story. Alice said to me, the best thing he said about the story was, he's like, it needs to be a love story. Because every blockbuster is a love story. And I went, fuck, he's right.
Damn, I thought I had it. Now he's just gone and curveballed me.
And I had to rethink everything. And then finally I came up with the idea with Kid and Piper. And then I told him the whole idea. And he was like going, that's it. Coop's like, if you like something, he'll help you out. And when I told him the story, he was like, I got it. And then that's one night, I never forget, we were getting ready to go on stage and the intro's playing. And I got my ears in. He comes up to me. He's like going, I got it. What, boss? He's like, the source to all the evil, the sorcerer. And I was like, what?
Just before you're about to go on stage.
Feed man. I was like, oh, holy shit, you're right. That was a great moment, dude, right before we went on. Because he would all of a sudden come up with these things out of the blue. I go in his dressing room, he'd be like going, what do you think of this? And I'd write it all down, dude.
I'd love to learn about some of your early gig experience because you had some like real defining concerts as a kid. 3 in particular, which I think was some of your early shows. The Ramones, Van Halen and The Who.
Oh, yeah.
Are they 3 totally different gigs which change things for you in different ways?
See, I love so many genres of music. You know what I mean? Yeah. I love electronic music. I love pop music, rock and roll, punk rock. And to get to see the Ramones in Central Park. It was a free concert. I forgot what it was. It was like 1977, maybe. I just never forget it. All I remember is like going there. I was like, what? Hey, what? They didn't stop.
Did you know any of the material beforehand?
Not at all.
Game changer.
No. I walked away one, oh my God, these guys are the coolest, you know, with the leather jackets. And they had that whole thing, you know. And then I love The Who. Pete Townshend's always been one of my favorite guitar players. And Roger Daltrey, always, you know, like The Who's always been one of those bands for me, you know. The ultimate rock band, like The Who.
Was that your first Madison Square Garden experience?
First Madison Square, yes, I believe so. Yeah. Either that or, no, Kiss. Dynasty, 79.
And which was the mind blown during that gig?
I loved Kiss when I was a kid, man. And seeing that was amazing, dude.
Well, that was like peak Kiss for kids and all that kind of stuff, wasn't it? Merchandising really exploding. I think probably the comic book came out around that time.
But all I remember is like I Was Made for Loving You was the song. That was like that year. And then The Who was like one of those moments. I'll never forget where Townsend was doing a fucking windmill, cut his whole hand open, had to stop the show. That's what I love about rock and roll back in the old day. Stop the show. He goes to the hospital because he's got to get stitched up because he really banged his hand up. As he goes to the hospital for like 45 minutes to get stitched up, Roger Daltrey comes out and starts playing guitar and singing in the middle of the stage. That was one of those moments. Then Townsend comes out, fucking hand bandage up. Like just watching that stuff, man. It's like, it's incredible. I mean, like getting to see like Pink Floyd, you know, back in the day, The Wall. I saw a lot of great concerts back then.
Who did you used to go to gigs with?
My mother was very particular, like who I went to concert with. I would go to a lot of the shows with this guy. His name was Conrad Palucci. My mother would let me go with him. He was like probably 5-6 years older than me.
Was he as responsible as your mum thought he was?
He was the only responsible one in the neighborhood that my mother would trust. Because everyone else was on drugs, doing all kinds of stupid shit. And this guy had his shit together.
Was he into rock music?
I loved it. Those guys turned me on to so much stuff, man. Back in the day.
That's such an influence. Some older kid says, you got to listen to this.
Dude, you kidding me? Like, all the kids in my neighborhood were just rock and rollers, man. Everyone was playing guitar. It was a rock and roll neighborhood. It was a great place to grow up with rock and roll.
And how much did you know about Van Halen when you saw him opening for Sabbath?
I didn't know who the hell Van Halen was. Had no idea. All I remember, they came out, I think they opened up with I'm on Fire, where David Lee Roth comes out, does the kicks, and it's like down, down, down. And I remember going,
what is this?
Yeah, that was one of those things. And I was trying to find the record the next day. And all I remember was they had You Really Got Me was the single. I got the record for Christmas that year from my mother.
It's nuts to think back then that there was so many like game-changing things. Like every year, there's like something that could totally blow your mind like that and just totally change the direction of stuff. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
We've had a couple of videos from Crossbone Skully, and I believe you want to do a lot more to like really establish and familiarize people with the live band. What's next release-wise? I think there's mention of, is it some colored vinyls?
Yeah, those are coming out. The 7-inch, they should be delivered, I think, in like 2 or 3 weeks to everyone who bought them. The artwork on it looks amazing. You know what I mean? It's like if you're an Iron Maiden fan, you got to buy it. It's just for the artwork alone.
Which album did you buy on artwork alone? Or because the guys look cool on the album?
Are you kidding me? Artwork always gets me. If I see an album that the artwork looks cool, I'm buying it. I don't even give a fuck. I'd buy like the Grateful Dead, not even realizing that they're not a rock band. Molly Hatchet.
Look at that logo.
Yeah, I just love artwork too. Yeah, so we have I Am the Wolf that's coming out. We just released it on this Discord channel we have. And then we have a song called Money, Sex, or God that we did a video for also that's coming out. But we're going to go out to LA and do more videos because I'm trying to do a video for almost every song on the record. I want to do it with this band because this band is so good. And the songs are really good and the band looks good and it feels good. It feels right. A lot of people say it's a waste of money, but
No.
I don't think so. Everyone's like, go and make little short videos like 30s. I'm like, no, man, I'm making videos, man. It's like, I want people to see the band so they could establish the thing before they see it and they go, oh, cool.
And like you said earlier, like you go in with like your level of expectation super low, but you're super proud of everything you do. When you look back on it, you want to know that, yeah, I put everything into that and I can look back on this body of work and yeah, that was fucking great.
Yeah, I want stuff that's going to be on there, you know what I mean? Where people can actually look at it. And the band members, you know what I mean? Having like a great band. And I want them to be proud of this stuff too.
Tommy, I'll wrap it up. I always end with the same question. I'll put you on the spot a little bit. I want you to time travel to a Friday night in the late 80s or early 90s and you're heading to the video store. What movie soundtrack do you have on the Walkman and what 3 tapes are you going to rent for the weekend?
What movie soundtrack do I have on the Walkman? It would be Halloween because Carpenter is like amazing. And the videos, it would definitely be Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Nice.
Wait, let me think about this. Porky's was fucking great.
I can see a theme.
Porky's, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and it would definitely be The Omen was a good one too.
Second time someone's chose that. Yeah, The Omen's a great one, man.
That was a good movie, man, back in The Exorcist, The Omen, any devil movie, I used to love that shit. Behind the Door, I think there was another, Beyond the Door. That was a cool flick. You can't even find that anymore.
What Johnny Depp film would you have on there?
Let's see. Of course, Edward Scissorhands, you know what I mean? It's like, it's so brilliantly done, that movie. See, my favorite Johnny Depp movies are like Sleepy Hollow, Scissorhands, Ed Wood. To me, it's so brilliant, that movie, the way he plays the character.
I guess if you see his films now after being in Hollywood Vampires for a while, because like the Johnny Depp, the guy, you could see how much he transforms himself into those characters.
It's pretty amazing when you see him do that. Like, I've been around him where we've been in a room where he's doing the voiceovers for gnomes and stuff like that. And I watch him doing all that and he reads it and the way he does it. That's a gift, man. Because he'll read a line. I don't know how many times he'll do it, and he'll do it in different registers and different delivery, which is pretty amazing, where I'll be like going, wow, that's cool. Anyway, sorry for talking too much.
More than happy to listen to stuff like that forever. I appreciate you chatting with me, Tommy.
So you got Roxy on the wall back there. You need some fucking Crossbone Skully shit back there, dude.
It's asking for it, isn't it? They've got some spaces.
Yeah, we got to get you the album cover. The album cover would look perfect back there.
We got to do it.
Is that the Goonies?
Yeah, got the Goonies, got Metal Sludge.
Oh, yeah.
Van Halen.
Uh-huh, I see that.
A bunch of Nightmare on Elm Street stuff up the top. Tell Johnny Depp I want a signature on this Nightmare on Elm Street.
Okay. Forgot about Nightmare on Elm Street, too. Shit. Hellraiser was a good one, too.
Oh, man. I love my horrors, dude.
Right here, I just got this shit against the wall.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive, mate.
I made that painting for Johnny before the trial started.
Oh, wow. You did that one?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, fantastic.
I do all the stuff. I got paintings from the kids that they do all the stuff. It's really sweet. I got some of my guitars here.
What's your go-to bass these days?
Well, my main bass, it's at Johnny's house. But when I'm here, my Benjamin Orr bass.
Nice.
1977 Stingray. My buddy Jim gave this to me as a present.
Has that been everywhere with you?
On all the Crossbone Skully stuff, this bass and this one right here is beautiful too. You'll love this one. This one is another go-to bass that I've always used. I've had this so long, this one too. Listen to that.
Sounds great, not even plugged in.
Yeah, it's nice. Listen to that.
They brand new strings, because that's what it sounds like.
No, they're not. I know.
Sounds huge already.
I know, right? This is a really great bass, man. It's got the badass on there, and it's light too, which is great.
What's the story behind the Rock and Roll Heart print? Is that one you've done?
Yeah, it's just like only good art comes from the heart.
I've got a buddy of mine says people who are in it for the long haul, they've still got that teenage rock and roll heart.
Right, yeah, that's it, man. Rock and roll heart. Dude, thanks for chatting.
I've loved it, mate.
Make me sound good.
Always. Hopefully catch you next time in the UK, dude.
Absolutely, brother. I'll talk to you later.
There you go. Hope you enjoyed my chat with Tommy Henriksen here on the Straight to Video podcast. Like I mentioned earlier in the chat, Tommy's career goes in so many directions that I could listen to his stories all day, and there's far too many for just one podcast. But hopefully this conversation was enough to make you want to dig a little deeper and also check out all things Crossbone Skully at crossboneskully.com. As we head into the new year, I hope you'll continue to keep an eye and ear on all things straight to video from the podcast, where you can find all 270 episodes so far at stvpod.com, and also our 80s video shop in Alfreton, Derbyshire. Chris, who I run the shop with, has been working on a feature film called One Night Rental, which has been shot in and around the video shop, and we're having a premiere at Derby Quad on the 2nd of March with tickets available now if you want to come along. If you do, please head on over to www.80svideoshop.co.uk. And finally, there's going to be some new music from Straight to Video in the coming week, so please connect on Facebook, Instagram or Twitter to learn more about that as I begin to share the news. So that's all for this first episode of the year, but I'll be back next Friday, and until then, as always, be kind, please rewind and unwind, and I'll speak to you all real soon.